After so many answers, some of them very straight and stark, there's still one arresting question. Has any other player wanted to leave a club less? Has any departure been less fitting? It's nature summing up the absurdities of the modern game rather than the Barcelona career of perhaps its greatest ever players. It goes without saying that Lionel Messi's departure from Barcelona should have been in front of a packed Camp Nou at the end of his time in Europe, and where the tears were genuinely moving rather than so sadly regrettable. The departure instead took place in a sterile room with a player who has done more than any emotionally moved people being asked to detail league's administrative rules. If Messi is football, as one of his former managers once declared, what was this? And yet, while the press conference was admittedly astonishing in parts, its most arresting aspect was the sight rather than anything was actually sad. That was Messi first weeping before it began, was sobbing uncontrollably as a resounding round of applause continued. There was an element of intruding on what should have been private grief. One comment did perfectly articulate the real sentiment behind those tears. It was all the more striking because Messi hasn't historically been the most expressive. This is the most difficult moment of my career. I've been through tough moments and defeats, but the next day you go back to training and you have another chance to avenge yourself. This isn't going to happen here. It's the end. Now another chapter starts. This was the next question was how it had come to this. I didn't want to leave, Messi said. I did everything I could to stay. The comment did leave a lot unsaid. Many had wondered why he didn't just take a pay cut, or if he loved the club as much as he suggested, why didn't he play for free? The first thing to say is that why should Messi offer to solve the problems of a board that has been the source of so much dysfunction? As literally any worker in any field would be able to testify, these situations are never just about the simple decision of staying or going, or the emotions of it. They're about long-standing relationships and existing power dynamic. It is Messi's fair right not to have emotions taken advantage by one of the clubs with the biggest turnovers in world football, who just continue spending. Many footballers would agree with him. Going back to Roy Keane, John Giles in England and much further, it's not about what you're paid, it's about what that represents in relation to the club's approach. Messi also confirmed in responding to one question he actually offered to take a 50% pay cut, but even that was moot. This is why he missed and why this is a football tragedy. Even if Messi did offer to play for nothing, Barca could have not have registered him. The problem was that unless the Argentine's contract ran out at the end of last season, he became a free agent. That meant in order to register Messi, Barca's wage to turnover percentage has to be 70%. It's currently 95% without him, making their four big summer signings all the more questionable. This is fundamental to all this. Messi is being forced out, evicted. That was the reason for the tears. That was the reason he was so sad, so regrettable, so sensational. You might even call it another reductio ad nauseam in football, a point where logic can't go past. It does feel absolutely absurd that Messi, a player who inspires such emotion that fans will willingly pay more to watch than anyone else, is being forced out by financial convolutions and fairly grotesque politics. This is not what football should be. He's been caught in the middle of a standoff between La Liga and Spain's Big Two, not to mention the ongoing plans to try and revive the Super League. This is one of the problems of the the modern game. The grotesque size of the biggest club, bloated and making self-indulgent decisions. And I realise there is some logic in letting a 34-year-old go to try and create a leaner club. This is what unnecessary in the modern game, but Barca are really doing that. Some of the signings suggest otherwise. It could have been achieved with Messi surrounded by a team of hard-pressing graduates. The Messi aren't without some guilt in all of this. It should be stressed. He has required indulgence of his own for the club, but he's ultimately a victim of wider forces and sort of football finances that players like him have been more responsible for creating than those who actually benefit. There's another reason it's so lamentable. This is also why Messi's own mooted move to PSG is one possibility he confirmed, somewhat cowardly. It's so depressing and boring on its own way. The game is structured in such a way that Qatari state projects are among the handful of clubs he can go to. These are why there are fairer questions about Messi's prospective wage demands. For a player who has such a purity to his play and inspires such a purity of emotion, it would feel more fitting if he went outside one of the wealthiest, if he went somewhere more romantic, if it wasn't just money going to money going. That second-tier club is considered romantic. In other words, a club who could have won the Champions League just over a decade ago in Milan or Borussia Dortmund is another indictment of where we are. This is instead a grim inevitability about this transfer. There should be no inevitability about this end. At first it'll be weird, but people will get used to it as they always do. Barca will never see a player like Messi again. No, there will be other stars, of course, but can there be one who will be as deeply entrenched in the club as the Argentine who raises to such heights? There is a rare combination. He was a rare player. He was for so long Barcelona. Another standing ovation ensued. Thousands of fans could be heard chanting his name. There should have been inside the stadium, not outside. It should have been a very different ending. Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below, and follow me on Twitter, think subscribe for daily football news, and subscribe to my channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.